I'd like to just introduce you. I want to get Ronnie Mbatsane. Is that how you pronounce it, Ronnie? You are the managing executive of Absa, KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga. Ronnie, you're one of the top dogs at Absa. You're a busy guy. And, you know, this morning, you know, we do know that in these times, Ronnie, as you'll share, I would imagine you and the executive of Absa have gone through enormous changes. And you've had to learn to, like small business, think on your feet.
Yeah. No, thanks, Mike. And again, appreciate the opportunity to be here and engage the members and also some of the people that are in small business and across, you know, the globe. And really an opportunity for me to share my experience in terms of the world that we find ourselves into. Yeah, as you've rightfully said, you know, we have a responsibility to look after our people and our customers. The responsibility cannot be smaller, especially on this period. Being the managing executive for the bank, you know, comes with its own challenges as well in this period. So we had to make decisions much more quicker than it used to be. Yeah, I grew up in the bank, so I've got extensive experience in the banking environment, being in retail, business bank, and I was very fortunate to be in leadership at a very, very early age, you know, and I'm looking forward to really, Mike, to share my insights and my experience in terms of what we're seeing in the markets.
Absolutely, Ronnie, and you know the NSBC over the past few months since lockdown, you know, we've done extensive research and surveys to understand the challenges, the needs of SME South Africa, and not only South Africa, globally. And we do know that many businesses in certain sectors have, of course, faced enormous challenges and more than others. But what's amazing, what's coming out, Ronnie, is that the positivity and the resilience coming through from small businesses. And of course, getting to level 2 now has bring a little bit more relief than before, but there are still many businesses that will take years to recover. And, you know, because of Absa, you know, as one of our major partners in helping us in the COVID-19 Small Business Relief and Recovery Center, you know, that initiative will go on for years, because when this pandemic is over, the recovery process will take years for businesses to come back. But what's amazing about it, Ms. Ronnie, is that almost 92% of business owners who have lost their business because of the sector they've been in intend to come back. And the recovery center is designed for that, to bring back the mercurial people, the job creators of our country, to bring them back into mainstream business again, so they can build a bigger and more successful business and leave the COVID-19 catastrophe behind them. But Ronnie, if I can ask you, I'm getting some questions from the market and from feedback. How has COVID-19 affected the way businesses network in South Africa? If you can allude to that, I'll appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mike, for that question. I think if you look in the business of networking, I mean, historically and traditionally, we've you know, used platforms in a face-to-face environment where, you know, you want to be warm with people, and you know, utilizing things like you know, business cards and exchanging you know, phones on a face-to-face. This pandemic has really fast-tracked you know, how we utilize, you know, digital, you know, platforms to engage with each other. I see that, you know, continuing going forward, you know, Mike, and this has really impacted mostly our small, medium enterprises. But I also look at it on a positive side, that it has also, you know, created platforms like this, you know, for us to really engage, you know, because small businesses in nature, they want to save cost. You know, face-to-face engagement is not really cheap, to be honest. You know, you have to dress up, you have to be in a car, you have to go into a venue. Some of them you have to pay, you know, for tables. And here we are, and I'm talking to you now, you know, and sharing some insights, which in the past it was very difficult for people to participate. So I think it has really shaped our new world, and it's for us to really mature it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that, and you're 100% right. And I mean, right now, you know, I come from a place called Hartbeespoort up in northwest there, and a few days ago I came down to Cape Town. I'm sitting in my apartment in Cape Town, where traditionally I would be out there meeting face to face. And what's amazing about it is that if you asked me 6 months ago, could you ever do businesses in this way, and I would be hesitant to answer that question, but me personally, I've learned an enormous amount of the new technology in the system, and I don't think we're ever going to go back to the old normal. I think we're going to combine a bit of the old normal with the new way of doing business, and that is, of course, the really important meetings to engage with, because there's nothing nicer and more invaluable than a face-to-face meeting, Ronnie. But of course, to combine that with online meetings and online experiences is a great way for the future for a business owner and for an entrepreneur. And, you know, what's also important now, coming towards spring, you know, for the NSBC, it's the biggest small business season of the year. Coming up next Friday is Small Business Friday, and that comes out of the United States about 10 years ago. It's the largest movement in the world to mobilize the nation to go big by supporting the small. So to all our attendees out there, you know, before I get to the next question, now's the time. Go to smallbizfriday.co.za. Enter for the Small Business Friday 5-day challenge. By supporting the movement, people will be helping you at this time and come out and do business with you. Come into your store, go to your online shops and engage with you. So if you really want to make a difference to other small businesses out there, and you want big business, government, and the consumers to support your business, now's the time to go to smallbizfriday.co.za and register for the 5-day challenge and be exposed to the millions of people out there so they can go out to support your business. But Ronnie, you know, if you look at from Absa's perspective, where do you know, a lot of people are asking us, where do we network? Where do businesses network at this moment in time?
Yeah. No, I think we've seen the need of really connecting back with our customers, and as you know, that we've taken most of our people to work, you know, from home, and we realize that there's a need for us to connect more. We've created different platforms, you know, for businesses to engage with us, and you know, Mike, I'm laughing because the icons that we're using today, they were there before, you know. Whether it's MS Teams, whether it's Zoom, or whether it's any platform that we have, you know, we had these icons sitting there in our desktop, and we were not using them. And I mean, amazing how in a period of about 3 months, we were able to understand that we can actually connect without, you know, a physical movement and still be able to make, you know, decisions and an impact. I think more important is the webinars that we've created. You know, platforms like this one that we are in now. You know, it's a valuable platform for businesses to start sharing and being engaged. You know, talking about you know, what they can actually, you know, do and offer in terms of value to the supplier network that is out there. So those are really critical. Whether you utilize you know, different platforms in the digital platform that you know, connect you with your suppliers, or with stakeholders, or with you know, other businesses that look like yourself, I think it's very key. And I think it's an advantage for a small business you know, person, because for the first time you have an opportunity in a day to, you know, attend as many, you know, platforms as possible. And there's no better way of getting insights than that. And we have seen that being very, very successful as a bank. We've hosted a whole lot of, you know, sessions, right from, you know, agriculture to franchising to restaurants to hotels, where we're sharing information that historically was very limited to a number of people, because you were guided by the venue that you create. You know, if you, you know, needed only 50 people, that was the maximum. And today we can have, you know, a webinar and talk to 5,000 people and share the similar message, you know, coming from the top. So So that really, really excites me.
Ronnie, 100%. And, just to add to that, historically, I mentioned earlier, one of our very successful physical face-to-face events is Breakfast Connect. And over the past 11 years, we've hosted these breakfast functions around the country, attracting 300-400 to a given event in different cities. Now, if you look at Breakfast Connect, it's a virtual environment. It's a world-class virtual environment where we're getting 800-900 delegates attending. And what our attendees are telling us is that they're getting to network with more people than ever before. The types of people that are attending these virtual networking functions, Breakfast Connect, is attracting a high-quality digital audience, the digital generation. They're able to engage with many more people in the morning than ever before. So, if you had asked me that 6 months ago, I could never have agreed to that. But of course, this is what's happening out there. We've never ever done a single seminar to 5,800 attendees at one sitting before. Now we are able to do that. So these are and I think that's what we've chosen. We've learned to adapt. We've challenged the status quo. We're trying new things, and we're doing new things. Because like we always say, I was having a global conference the other day, Ronnie, and the school of thought is now, and research is coming out, that the world's biggest companies of the future are being born in the pandemic. Because people are choosing. What do we do as a business owner and entrepreneur? We can choose to curl up on a corner and perish, or we can choose to succeed and weather the storm and come out much stronger by learning and adapting and challenging the status quo. Ronnie, can I ask you another question? What effective tips can you guide business owners out there, key networking tips during this time of COVID and prepare for the beyond?
Yeah. As I've mentioned before, Mike, historically, everyone is know that historically you had to, get into environment, exchange business cards, do follow-up meetings. If you're lucky, you'll get, a diary, confirmation, or else, you'll just carry the business cards forever. Today, what we have seen is that, there's no reason for me, based on how we are set up, Mike, not to say no to anyone who wants to engage with me. Because, if any small, medium enterprise is not given an airtime to voice their opinion or to engage, senior leaders of any, corporates or business, and then that they don't want to talk to you. But there's no excuse today of not really engaging and talking to our colleagues and our attendees and our small medium enterprise, because the time that we have, 15 or 20 minutes can make a huge difference, and I don't have to move, and I can engage with you online and make decisions. We have seen most of the small medium enterprises taking advantage of that, especially from this period where they've engaged with us. I have personally met many of our clients that in the past it was going to take years and years for me to have a chat with them based on the role that I'm in the bank. But Mike, I wanna take some time just really to share, some of the tips, and I'm gonna really take them step by step. Some of the tips that I feel very strongly, businesses should really look in terms of how they engage, digitally. I think the first one, it's really to look for what we call common interest. If you are in a business, a particular enterprises, to get into networking platforms that look, speak, and feel the same, and that's very, very important, so that you're not, saying things that people are just gonna say, where is this coming from? Being a banker, I would not make sense, Mike, to get into a networking platform for people who are in music, for example, because I will not make any sense. So it's very important to look at online platforms that share similar common interests that are very close to what you're doing, as a business. I think the second one is really to continue giving, opinion. Don't just be a number. Platforms like these are also very important. If you're making a comment here that is really, really meaningful and really appealing to everyone, we will actually make notice. Chances are people are going to follow up and want to hear even more what you can actually, offer in terms of, value. And I think it's very important to do that. And I think the third one, which is a very key driver for me, going forward, and we've been doing it traditionally, is the issue of really, creating a platforms of referrals. And I think that is very important. So when you go into any digital, platform and you know that in a value chain you can assist, particular people, it's very important that you expand that value chain. I'll just take agriculture as an example, Mike. If I'm a primary agricultural holder and I get into a platform, a digital platform networking where I'm looking for suppliers, and I know that, Mike is into transport, it's easy for me to, utilize that platform to reference that you can provide this particular service. In that way, you expand the network that you have. I always say the bigger the network, the more relevant the network, the more net worth you become. And that's the biggest driver for me in terms of that. I think the fourth one, which really I want to spend a lot of time on, there's a trap that a lot of people fall into where they get an opportunity like this and they start selling, and that's a no-no. We need to avoid that as much as possible and utilize what I call smart introduction, where you introduce a solution, you introduce value, but you're not selling. And then people make a very informed decision whether they will actually utilize you or utilize the service that you get. I like the issue of really, educational engagement, because that gives people a power to make decisions. Then they will not compare you to somebody else based on price, but they will buy the value that you are actually, doing. So it's important that, you use those digits of being informative and also, allow people to make their informed decision. I have seen that the moment you start pushing, product into the digital platform, people are just going to run away, because that's not what people want. They want information. They want to be informed, And I think the fifth one, which Mike, it's also important. It's link with other businesses, in the value chain. In a small business environment, I always say, in business management 101, you have 8 functions of running the business. If you are a small business owner, you actually running the 8 functions yourself. So it's important to link up with all the other businesses that are forming part of the entire value chain of who you are. Whether you link up with the accounting firms and you go into their, a digital platform and network where they share best practices, because that will affect you. That's an empowering, environment for you. Whether you link up with the legal teams that are creating their own webinars, which is actually out there, for you to be able to be empowered. And once you create that value chain, it's very easy for you to know when something has gone wrong into your business, where to go to. And I think being a small, medium, business owner, the time is very valuable, because you're juggling a lot of things, in your space. And I think, the last one is, you have to continue inviting people to connect with you, on and offline, and utilizing a lot of social, platforms that we have, and I'll use example like LinkedIn. It's very good, to profile the business in full, and you can, upload videos in terms of what you do, and really be creative in terms of how you send a message. You can use platforms like Facebook, where whether there's something that is interesting, that is new, that's innovative, that you want to actually share. So I think, those tips for me, and I'm happy to share these tips with yourself so that we can share with the attendees. I think those are the tips that I feel very strongly, if they are followed, thoroughly, they will really position you in this new world that we've created in the digital platform much more better.
Ronnie, those are good words. Thank you for that. And just to add further to that, Ronnie, if you look at the most successful networkers in the world who've built incredible business, they don't, the big message is stop selling and start listening. And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
We've got to think like a doctor. We've got to learn to take people's pain away, be authentic, be true to ourselves, always have the mission in helping others. In that way, you'll be okay and you'll build a bigger and greater business. And I think that's really a big message, not only now during the pandemic, it's always been that way, but now's the time to really master that skill. When we have networking forums and functions, we educate and teach people, get into a network and just listen and see where you can help others. In that way, people will be curious and positive towards your intention, and they will help you build a bigger and more successful business. And the art of networking is a fun art. And of course, and in this digital world, there is no, people think out there, well, you can't network anymore. There are more powerful opportunities to effectively network now than ever before that can lay the foundation to building a great experience out there. And of course, thank you for that. But Ronnie, what are the benefits? Ronnie, what are the benefits of having a supplier network?
I think let's start by understanding what the suppliers do. I think, Mike, suppliers, I think it's a platform for businesses to meet, in terms of demand and supply, and where people meet for exchange of goods and services that they actually offer. So I think it's very important for us to continue expanding that value chain. And I think for a small business that is on the line listening now, it is important to continue creating, platforms that allow you to expand in terms of your value chain. If you need, access, to market, or access to, the primary, holders that are generating the input into your business, it's important to keep that value chain much more stronger. And I think you've mentioned it earlier on. It's more prudent and easy now, for small businesses to create that. In the past, you had to drive around looking for people to sign, agreements, pitch and all that. Let's take advantage of the digital platform that has been created for us, to create that, so that we shorten the time from what we call, procurement right up to, buying. So those for me are very important. So I would like to see most of our people really creating that, and I think it starts by really understanding what your business actually do. Most of the businesses today don't have a digital strategy, for example. I think it's important to start there and say, let me create a digital strategy for my firm, and let me understand exactly. It's not only the sales strategy now. Let me understand the digital strategy, which platforms I want to play into, and how do I want to play in those platforms. And then you'll then discover a whole lot of opportunities that you can actually utilize in terms of getting the market that you want, in terms of the the buyers that you want, or the people that are going to buy your service. And I think the critical component in terms of creating that network is to be able to manage that cycle. of the procurement process, which is a very, very difficult, certainly to manage. And I think you will see businesses today maturing in terms of creating that network. In the bank, we have that, where we have, supplier network, and we call all the suppliers into one platform, and we give them, all the things that we need from the bank's point of view. And I think, small businesses must take advantage of, creating and being involved in such, portals, so that they have easy access, to the markets.
Ronnie,
Thanks,
100%.
Mike.
And Ronnie, 100%. And you touched on it earlier, and if you look at the big messaging coming from the mega entrepreneurs around the world, and they are saying this is the ultimate time where you can use digital and social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it may be, to use your platforms in your own area of expertise to educate, inspire, and to help others, and not to use the platforms to sell. In that way, people will want to do business with you. And I think that's the big messaging coming out. And I think where some people are going wrong is, Ronnie, is that they're using this time to really clutter their social media platforms to sell and to sell and to sell. Yes, we do know that selling is imperative. If you have an abundance of sales, cash will flow, and of course, cash can fix everything. But to really leverage that is to really educate and inspire and to help others in your own area of expertise. And just something interesting coming out, which is a little bit off the mark of our discussion, but you might appreciate this, Ronnie, and our attendees. They did a global survey now. If you had to ask every business owner in the world what they could have done better prior to the pandemic to prepare, which they're going to do now for the rest of time, 3 things. Okay, eliminate non-essential spending, number 1. Reduce debt, and of course, to be brutal on the money, and stockpile cash was a big one that coming through. Stockpile cash, eliminate debt, and reduce non-essential spending is kind of key. But I just wanted to bring that into our webinar, because this is what business owners are going to do of the future, is really take care and to be brutal on their own money. But Ronnie, if I can ask you just a key message, your parting words this morning, and then what I will do after that, if you guys are attendees out there, if you can put some questions that you would like Ronnie or myself to answer, now's the chance to do that. But in the interim, Ronnie, if you can give us a key message to our audience this morning, and that's what we can do. If there's any questions we can touch on, and then I will just conclude with what's coming up for small business South Africa. Over to you, Ronnie.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And I think, again, thank you for this opportunity. And I think for a small, medium enterprise out there, as we know that this pandemic is probably going to be with us for a longer period, I think it's important for us to start understanding the world that we are in. I think most of the businesses must stop, I always say stop, pause, understand the new environment that we're operating in. And if you don't have, a plan around your digital approach and the digital strategy, I think it's time now to really, do that and understand exactly which platforms you're gonna create for your company and for yourself, not only in the engagement of the businesses that you do business with, but also on how you engage with your staff. I think that's very important. And I think also it's important to also, manage the behaviors, over time. I mean, people can get carried away into this, new world that we are in, to your point. And I think let's take advantage of utilizing the platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, and whether it's webinars like this and platforms that you, Mike, and the team create, to really, take advantage of, sending out the informative message that you want to send out there for the value that you give in terms of our value chain. I think breaking this new norm will probably take a lot of time, and I think it would be with us for a longer period. We have this pandemic has really fast-tracked some of the things that were going to happen anyway in the future. We're able to, to utilize this, digital platform much more earlier than we anticipated. I think we're very comfortable as businesses to move around and be able to see each other face to face. I mean, I'm just using an example today. You can be able to purchase a car without even touching any of us in the bank, and utilizing digital tools and e-signatures that are created there. So I think that business must evolve, spend more time in terms of how to take advantage of this current situation that has been created, but be more participative and in all the platforms, so that your businesses are known in terms of what you have, because you can easily be swallowed into this new fast world that has been created for us. But really appreciate this opportunity, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. And we got a question from Sandra. She's asking, Absa's got a supplier network platform. How does one get more details on this, Ronnie?
That's a very good question, and thanks for that. Absa does have a supplier network platform. I will encourage the colleague to utilize our enterprise development platform through our bankers in the front line, or they can go directly to absa.co.za and look for the enterprise development piece. The framework is there, and we have actually created a portal for suppliers, as we know that we're very fond for small medium enterprises. I think we are the only bank that is really driving the enterprise development strategy very aggressively into the market, and now I'm happy for the people to explore that.
Thank you for that, Ronnie. I've got a question from Sadia coming through, and you've touched on it quite extensively, but maybe you can add a bit of flavor to that. Ronnie, what concrete advice can you give a small business owner right now, over and above what you've mentioned so well this morning?
I think I want to start by really saying that as businesses go through this period, small medium enterprises by nature don't have enough liquidity and reserve. I think the first thing that you need to do, if it's a financial situation, it's very important to talk to your bank, and I think that's the first stop. So you need to really engage with us. We are available in digital platforms that we've created. If you're one of the very few that are able to operate into this period, it's important to take advantage and develop a very mature development strategy, digital strategy for yourself, and choose which platforms you want to showcase your solutions as the conditions have really shifted a little bit and people are more into digital. And I think that's where you need to spend more time. And I think if you're not able to do that, it's important to start diversifying from the core of where you are doing. We've seen businesses, Mike, that have quickly diversified in the last 3-4 months that are really doing so well, and have picked up some of the segments and sectors that are very close to what they are doing, to be able to generate, income. But we've given a lot of relief upfront to most of these small, medium enterprises to make sure that they remain, in business. And we want to keep people in business, as small, medium enterprises are employing a lot of people in the country. Thanks, Mike.
Ronnie, thank you for that. You begin questions. I've got one from Taryn. There are a few social media platforms out there. Where does one start? And if I can just quickly start on that one, Ronnie. The important thing is that what we're seeing is coming out in our research is that, and now you've touched on it, Ronnie, is LinkedIn is seeming to really come out at the top. But the big message is, whatever you do on social media, do well and don't sell. And the thing is, start off possibly with LinkedIn, you know, bring in Facebook, of course, bring in Twitter, Instagram is there. And, you know, before we know it, Ronnie, there's going to be another 10 platforms. But if anybody wants assistance, we're very strong on social media. We've got top people within our team on social media. Drop us an email at info@nsbc.africa, and our team can point you in the right question. And another question coming from Zoe Lawrence. Ronnie, this one's for you. What are the main 3 things that SMEs should avoid doing when starting and growing a business?
I think you know, very good question. I'm going to answer the question in a couple of folds from the financial lens, and I think it's important, one, to understand exactly what you want to do, and I think the research shows that if you understand exactly what you want to do, you've assessed exactly what you want to give in terms of the solution, whether it's niche or whether it's there. It's very important to start there. I think the second piece is that be prepared to start small. You know, you bang your fingers much more quicker. You know, if you start too big, too quickly, and you can't juggle, because you have to give the business, you know, to mature. You speak a lot about the 1,000 days. And those 1,000 days are very important, because that's the and that 1,000 days, what we have seen is that businesses don't make money. Small medium enterprise, even some of the big businesses, in those 1,000 days don't make money. You know, do a cash flow that does not actually you know, promote the business in an incorrect manner. Because you want to show profitability from day one, and then you go and borrow money and you can't afford to repay. So be realistic in terms of your forecast. Do a lot of research in terms of what you want to give, you know, people to solution, you know, for you. And where you know that there's a downfall, that's where we come in as a bank. You know, I always say that we don't lend money to people who need money. You know, we lend money to people who we don't lend money to people who don't need money. So we lend money to people who need money. So if you have forecast very well that, you know, in my 1,000 days, in 6 months, I will be over my expenses are gonna be more than what I collect. We are able to bridge that and give you some breather, because we know, you know, over time. And the trap that we are, you know, cash flows that shows profitability from day one. Me and you know that is not true. And we need to be very, very honest, you know, in terms of that. And as a bank, our job is to bridge that and make sure that we carefully help you, you know, over time. And I think it's also important to appoint people from the onset that are going to do a multiples of disciplines. You know, as a small, medium enterprise, it's very expensive to run, you know, the accounting part, whether it's tax or to run payroll. So it's very important to appoint people that are going to go with you for that 1,000+ days, that do a different, you know, disciplines within, you know, your own space, that understand your vision, and they can carry you for a good, you know, 3 years without you, you know, incurring any external costs. Because what eats the business the most is those costs that are coming from left, right, and center, whether it's an accounting cost there, a legal cost there, a collection cost, the payroll admin cost. So if you have a person that you can pay at a fraction that can actually minimize those, you know, and you will see that over time you'll be able to sustain, you know, the 1,000 days, and use platforms like this. NSBC has got a lot of tools that you know, that people can take advantage of, that you can utilize, that have been tested and been utilized, you know, over the period based on the experience of research, and use those and read more, you know, so that you can manage your own business. Thanks.
Right, Ronnie. Thank you very much, Ronnie. Very grateful for those words, of course, and your advice. And just a few success